mash up your plans with only one sprinkle. If you're feeling pain, the blood of Jesus break every chain and remove all sin. Declare this again and again. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. When the Vicks and the bush can't fix this, the blood of Jesus remove all sickness, all asthma and all arthritis. In the name of Jesus we bind it. Jesus is the answer. The blood of Jesus beat out the cancer. Break every chain and remove all stain. Declare this again and again. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. When we plead the blood, principalities get trampled. When we plead the blood, generation curse get dismantled. So cover your children and them, your unsafe family members and them. Christ died on the cross for all of them, so start praying for them. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what.
Blessings, guys, and good afternoon to all of you. It's a blessed Sunday afternoon, and we are glad to have you with us. All right. It's Team Family once again. So it's myself, Lady Sabby, and Adonna. How are you guys doing? How are you doing, Adonna?
I'm doing great. I'm just so glad that we can meet again today, and we have just come to the end of a very active April. We had last week a walk, and then this weekend we had the concert, which I'm still recovering from.
Yes. Well, last week was really good. It was good. I ain't lying. Now, those of you who missed out that health walk, you really missed something good, eh? So don't miss it next year. Make sure you order your t-shirt really early. Get your package organized early for next year. And make sure you're on that health walk. It was amazing. I'm lying. During the health walk, a little you're there and you're trying to think about, the end. The end is near. Okay, let me pace myself. I go make it to the end. When we reach the end, you feel a little tired. I was waiting for a little ache and pain the days afterwards, but honestly, it was just awesome. Did you have any aches and pains afterwards? So you were good as well.
No, I didn't walk. I was busy.
Oh, yes. I forget. Yes. Yes, you were busy.
I missed
yes.
out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope next year you could actually walk.
Yes.
But guys, it was a really good experience. Those of you who missed it, you missed something good. And all along the route, we had these little health tips reminding us of the importance of health, physical health and spiritual health. So we had reminders of how good and the benefits of fasting, of prayer, of eating less sugar, of drinking more water, staying hydrated. We had a lot of different tips along the way. It was awesome. And don't talk about the music. All right. So we had the music to keep us going. So it was good. But guys, today we're not talking about health. Today we are talking about work and family. All right. We wanted kind of narrow in on work ethics and how it affects family and all of that. So as usual, we would love to hear from you. So if you have comments, questions, we want to hear from you. Feel free to share your questions and your comments as we discuss our topic for today. Don't forget, Team Family is all about building up families, relationships in families. But you want to consider, it's a family at home or your family at your church. We're all about family. All right. And our desire is to see families being built up, relationships being bonded, and people really having the relationships that Christ and Jesus means and what he wants for all of us. All right. So today we're talking about work.
Yeah, it's May Day for some May.
Yeah.
We have a holiday tomorrow.
Yeah.
God willing. That is great.
Oh, yes. Thank God for that holiday.
Yes.
Get a little rest and relaxation. Yeah, work is good, but rest is good too. All right. So we're talking about work and family. We're talking about, how work affects family, all of these things along that line. All right. So, sometimes I think back on the Garden of Eden and how beautiful it was I wonder how Adam and Eve, were in this garden where everything was provided for them. They didn't have to walk, they had their fruit, you're there, you sit down, you're sucking to mango, you're eating to apple, all the fruits that you love. And just imagine you're just there and you don't have to go and you don't have to walk really because...
They still have to walk,
Well, I mean, in terms of tilling the soil.
Yeah, God told them to tend the garden.
Yeah.
So they still had to, do some maintenance.
All right, okay. I stand corrected. All right, but I don't think according to the word it wasn't
hard labor.
Right.
It wasn't hard. It was
right.
something like therapy.
Right.
Just to walk through.
Right. Yeah, because after they sin, God said, by the sweat of your brow. Hard work.
The ground, was being watered and everything was,
Yeah, and they didn't have to, but in these days and these times, we have to work. We have to work. We want to make a living for our children, for ourselves, for our families, and we have to work. All right, so... work is something. Would you say work is something good or something bad, Sister Dani?
I think it's something good.
All right.
I like to work.
Yes, and I think there's a saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. But you could always say it the other way around because play, and no work. What's that?
Too much idleness. They say idleness is a devil workshop.
Yeah, and what happened?
If you're buying idle stuff to do.
I could think about a lot of negative things happening to people who do not work. You're there and you as you said, idle hands, the devil workshop. You're finding all the wrong things to do, all the wrong places to go, and people who sit down there and doing nothing, they tend to gain a lot of weight. All right, so you're not involved in some kind of, even if we know some people with some kinds of jobs, they can gain a little weight based on, but more so those who have nothing to do, you're just there. It's like you lie down and you're sleeping the whole day, but work is good. Work is good. And those of us who have jobs, I know that at times jobs can become tedious. They can become overbearing. They can become, the kind of jobs that, oh gosh, make you think, why am I here? Why am I doing this? But, in all things, we have to give thanks to God. There are some people who have no jobs.
Yes. At least you have a means of keeping a shelter over your head and food on your table.
That's right.
Some clothes on your back.
So give thanks for what you have. Yes, I'm not saying if you're in a job where you're feeling pressured and so you should stay there. But, in the meantime, give thanks to God for what you have. All right? So... we want to talk a little bit about work ethics. All right. I searched a little bit and I was looking around for what really is work ethics. And, I saw several definitions and a lot of them made me think a little bit. One of the definitions that I took out was the one that says, as I said, there were several, but I like this one, so I chose this one. It says an attitude of determination and dedication to one's job. All right, work ethics. Did you get a definition per se, Sister Thompson?
No, but I got a definition in a scripture,
All
which
right.
sort of give you an idea as to what is good work ethics. It says the hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor.
All right. All right.
So it tells you here that
Right.
good work ethics, you have to be diligent with what you do.
Okay. All right.
We cannot be slack.
Right. So a lot of things come into play.
Otherwise, you
there.
end up with forced labor. People, you have to have somebody over your head
Right.
pushing you to do what you have to do.
Right.
You know?
Amen. Amen. And even I like that scripture.
That's Proverbs 12, verse 24.
Right. Yes. So read it again for me.
It says, the hand of the diligent will rule,
Right.
while the slothful will be put to forced labor.
Right. So the diligent rules. That's the person
Yeah,
who's
because the
getting all
person who takes initiative
right.
and
Right.
get
Right.
up and, they don't have to, the boss don't have to, the supervisor
Down
don't
their
have to be
back.
on your back
Yeah.
telling you what to do. You
Like a
take
slave
initiative
driver.
and you get. But if you're slack and you don't, you have to have somebody over you all the time.
Right, right. Right. So attitude is a lot, eh?
Yes.
Having that attitude of determination and dedication. I know, and I, as I mentioned before, your job may not be exactly the job that you want, but in the meantime, whatever God has blessed you with, wherever you are, you do your best. You do your best to do what you are being paid for. You do your best to have the right attitude. You do your best to do whatever you can to so that your job can be done and done in the best way. All right. Still, as I said before, sometimes we take for granted what we have and we complain and we, but there are people out there who are possibly wishing there are people in need and wanting, just a simple income that you have. It's something to give God thanks for. All right. So let's not be, that kind of worker that, is complaining and always have something negative to say regarding what you have or your job. All right. I have also a scripture from Colossians 3. I'm going to read from 22 to 24, and it's very popular. And it says from verse 22. All right. It says, servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh, not with eye service as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as unto the Lord and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. All right. Again, it's speaking, we're not saying that in this day and age we have slave masters, and we're not calling you a slave per se, and that your employer is your master. We're not trying to look at it as the slave master and the servant. All right, but what we're saying here, according to the Word of God, is that you have a job to do. Don't do it as trying to please your boss. All right, do it as unto God. God is the one that blesses you. He is the one that will promote. He's the one that provided that job for you. He's the one that's providing. A lot of people tend to think that things are on the employer. God can change the heart of the employer. God can remove the employer from there and place somebody else, whoever is your supervisor. He can remove that supervisor who is possibly like a slave driver down your neck. He can possibly remove that supervisor and place somebody else there. So whenever you do whatever you do, you're doing your job, remember, do it unto God. All right. Remember that God is the one who has blessed you and not your employer. Yes, the employer might be the one paying you. The employer might be the one telling you exactly what to do, X, Y, Z. But remember, ultimately, God is your provider. He's your supplier. He's your sustainer. So don't look unto men. And when you're doing your job, do not do it to please the boss.
And that's so true, because even now the changes that is taking place with the work environment,
right,
a lot of people working remotely.
Right.
You have to do your work, even though you're at home.
That's right.
You don't need somebody to be over you telling you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, this even calls for greater changes in our ethics and business or work ethics of some workplaces,
Right.
because a lot of it is remotely done and using internet and using the
Right.
technology.
Yes, in IT we call that telecommuting, where you stay at home, you do your work from home, and it can be very dynamic. It can be something for both on both sides, both for the employer and for the employee. There are benefits. All right, but there are also, as you said, you're working on your own, so there are some little loopholes there. When you get back to the work ethics and whether or not you're doing your job and doing it, properly and spending the time. Because think about it, you're at home. All right. Let's suppose your work day is supposed to start at 8 and end at 4. All right. Yes, you have a little flexibility and all of that because you're working from home, but there are people who might possibly be, the time you're supposed to be using to do your reports and your this and that and the other for your job, you might just choose, okay, I feel like going on the beach today, or I feel like, because the boss in there, there's nobody to really be physically there to say to you, do your job. But we're accountable to God. We have to remember, even if the supervisor, your boss is not there looking directly at you, there's a God watching. He's up above.
But you still have to be diligent, especially when you're working
Yes.
using telecommunication, because
Yes.
there's such quickness in that form of work, because we're using emails, we're using
Right.
smartphones.
Yes.
It's really hard not to be able to push and get your workload, to me, gets greater.
Yes, because the fact is that you have a lot to get done. You have a lot to get done, and because of the flexibility, people might not understand, and your boss might not understand. Okay, he might give you a workload, all right, and this is your deadline. This is what you have to get done, and it might be a lot more than what you have to do in the usual workday if you're at your office, at an office space, at a particular location, all right. But there's a lot that is on you as the employee, because there's nobody supervising you. I always say, when my students and I are discussing that topic of telecommuting, we usually talk about a lot of the benefits to the employee. I mean, you don't have to spend money on bus or gas to go to work. All right. It's unless your job entails the one that you work from home, but you have places that you have to go, XYZ. But if you're working from home solely, all right, you're saving on gas, you're saving on uniform. I mean, you could be doing your job in your pajamas if you want. Nobody's seeing you. You don't have on makeup. You don't have to worry about that. It's comfortable. If let's say you're a mother, let's say you have a young child, you can also, you have to spend money on extra daycare fees and all of that. It's the working dynamics. You can spend more time with your little your son or your daughter, your baby, all right? But at the same time, we have to remember that we have a job to do, and we have to do it well, all right? So even if there might be benefits, to you as the employee, there's so much going on there, but as you said, with the changing dynamics of work, and so it can have effects on the family. And I would say I can see a lot of positive effects coming in there for the family if a parent is working from home. Because let's say the children come home from school, they would possibly have, the mommy is working at home or the daddy is working at home. They would probably be able to, cook a meal. So they come home to a nice home cooked meal. Or you can't say, okay, well, y'all would have to wait for me. There are, in some instances, children have to wait until they have to wait for their parents to pick them up. Depending on the age of the children, they can possibly take a bus and go home because mommy or daddy is at home waiting. There's a lot that can be done for family there, and you get to spend more time, because you're at home.
Yeah, we can see that it gives you more time home, but to me, your workload is even greater because you have to know balance the time
Right.
to take care of family. You're home, so you're expected to have a meal ready.
Yes.
You're
Oh,
expected
yes, I see
to
that coming.
be there to help assist with homework because you're home.
Right,
But you
right.
still have deadlines to meet with your
That's
work. So
right.
your work hours may just get extended into
That's right. That's
late,
right.
way into the night,
That's right.
and your self care and so.
Yes. So we have to be careful. There needs to be a balance there. I see what
balance,
you're
yeah.
talking about right there. Yes,
Yes.
because we can get carried away. Yes, that okay. Sometimes you get carried away with the chores that you have to do, and you forget that you have a deadline, or you forget you have to get this done, or you know, so you either way, whether it's with your family or with the job, you can get carried away either way, and something gets suffers
So
as a
I think
result.
the best thing to do in that situation is that you have your working hours.
Right.
You maintain your working hours.
Right.
If you're working hours from 9 to 5,
Right.
that's your working hours.
Yes.
You maintain your time. You start to work from 9,
Yes.
and you take your lunch break as normal,
Right,
and you
right.
do as though you're on the job.
And I think that's where a lot of people suffer, because they don't, when it comes to those kind of jobs, working at home, they tend to get carried away because of the flexibility, and we can get lost in that, and family can suffer as a result. As you said, yes, there are
because
benefits.
it's a
but
mindset that you're
yes,
home.
Yes.
And you're not
So
at
you
work,
tend-
so
right.
it feels so relaxed. You're
Right.
home, but you still have this thing. Well, no, you have to treat it as though you're
Right.
going out to work.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's true. So we need to maintain those working hours and say, okay, I'm starting at 8, I'm ending at 4, or I'm starting whatever time you need to, set aside that time and say this is working hours.
And even
right.
your dress code, you may not want to put on a whole lot of makeup, but at least put on something, because if you have a meeting, sometimes you have a Zoom
Right.
meeting,
Yes.
you don't want to be in your pajama and meeting.
And you know what too, sometimes even if you don't have a meeting, dressing up or putting on proper clothes can give you a different attitude.
Yes, change your mindset.
Right, because
Yes.
you're in your pajamas, you feel so relaxed. It's like, oh gosh, I think I could just lie down. But if you have on work clothes, you might tend to, instead of in your bed, you might get up, you might go to a desk and do what you have to do in a professional manner. All right. So work and family, guys. We're talking about work and family today. We'd like to hear from you. So we're talking about work ethics, and we're talking about how all of this can affect our family and our family life. I have a question here. What are some of the ways we can, I know we've been discussing a lot of things, but what are some of the ways in which we can demonstrate good work ethics? So whether it is that we're at, that workspace where, on the job, or whether we're working from home, wherever we're working, if we have to go out in the field, what are some of the ways we can actually demonstrate good work ethics? Because we're talking about work ethics and, being able to have good work ethics. What are some ways in which we can actually demonstrate that? Because it's not just about saying it, it's about doing it. It's an action, demonstrating it.
Well, as we read in the scripture before, diligence.
Right.
You have to be able to put your best into what you do.
All right.
Regardless of what it is that you do, you put your best in it. You take it as a business-like attitude
Right.
towards what you do. You don't be as a laissez-faire. You
Right.
don't just
No
laid back and
right.
mediocre.
Okay.
You take a business-like approach and a caring approach
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
If you deal with people, you have to take a caring approach.
Yes.
You care about them as an individual.
Right.
Whether is that email you're sending,
Okay.
or whether is somebody in your health field or somebody you're teaching, you have to take a caring approach.
Right. Because the fact of the matter is that sometimes you do something and you're kind of laid back on it. We don't realize that what we do would affect others. So sometimes you you fail to meet a deadline, and it's not that you were so under pressure that you couldn't meet it. So you're kind of, that's not so important. But what you do would affect others. So somebody else is affected because you handed in something late. Somebody else is affected because you failed to do what you were supposed to do at a certain point. Somebody is affected, or somebody doesn't get to do something because you did not do what you were supposed to do.
Right. And even as we are talking about telecommunication,
Right.
you have to be still mindful that it's standard English you have to use.
Right.
You have to make sure you outline your letter or whatever
Right.
correspondence you're sending
Maintain the
in a proper
professionalism.
professionalism. Yeah.
Right.
It's very important.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would say things like, how do you demonstrate work ethics? I would say through your attitude. All right. Attitude it goes a long way. Attitude towards coworkers, attitude towards customers. Oh my gosh, and that's a big one.
Yeah, customer service.
That's a big one. And I think, I don't know, somehow I think in Grenada we're lacking a lot of that, customer service and attitude. Sometimes, and I understand that people have, you may not have had a good day. Somebody may have troubled you. You're fed up at a job. Your boss may get you vexed. There's a lot of things that can happen, but there's why do we allow people around us or things around us to affect the way we relate to others? That customer that is coming to you, they had nothing to do with what the boss said to you or what the boss did to you.
So you have to exercise self-control on the
right.
job. You can't,
That's right.
Everybody don't have to know you have something with your boss.
Right.
Or somebody said something to you.
Right.
And even though the customer themselves might be rude,
right.
you have to know how to handle them
Yes.
and to be the more mature person according to the situation that arises.
Attitude is so important, and sometimes you may not even realize who is watching you, who you're attending to. Sometimes you give somebody a bad attitude. It could be it could be your boss above your boss. You don't even know who you're giving the attitude. It could be somebody just come there and you don't know who that important person is, and you give them and you lose your job.
Yeah.
Or you get a bad appraisal because of your attitude, because of that attitude. We have to learn to treat people with pleasant. We have to be pleasant. All right,
There's a
have
show
the right
on
attitude.
TV that deals with that, where this undercover boss
Yes,
comes in under the workplace, and it's very interesting to see the real you and how the workers, and sometimes by doing that they get to emulate some workers, get to really
Right.
know what's going on in their life,
Yes.
and those with a good attitude. I don't know when they meet those with a bad attitude.
Yeah, but those they get promotions.
They get promotions.
Yes.
So that's why I have to always watch your attitude.
You never know who's looking. You never know
Yeah.
who's looking. This attitude thing can get a lot of people in trouble. So attitude, remember, ultimately at the end of the day, it's God watching you. He's the one who's going to promote you. He's the one that is going to, if that boss is down your throat, he can remove that boss. He can place another boss there. He can remove you from that job and place you in a different job. But if your attitude is wrong, then God might say, well, let me leave him there a little while for you to learn change your ways or something. So attitude, good attitude, that is a way that we can demonstrate good work ethics. Communication is another way. You communicate the way you communicate, and it brings in the whole attitude thing again. All right. Mm-hmm. Communication is very important. How you communicate with people. Again, you said your emails, and so even if you're sending emails, you have to maintain that level of professionalism. All right, whether you're at home, whether you're working from home, or wherever you are, there is a way to communicate so that you can communicate effectively and so that people can understand you. And that there's a lot that people can get from your communication by just reading what you wrote. All right, people can sense the anger or the disrespect or the just by reading something. So we have to be careful in the way that we communicate, whether it is verbally, whether it's through our body language. And that's another thing. Body
Yeah,
language
yeah.
can tell a lot, you know, about whether or not you're being respectful, whether or not you're listening. All right, it will demonstrate whether or not you're having good work ethics. You know, you're communicating with your boss, or you're communicating with your colleagues, or your whoever you're communicating with. All right, we have to be careful. All right, good communication.
Yeah.
All right. What about teamwork, Sister Thompson? What
Yeah,
about
I was just thinking about that. That is very
Yes.
important in the workplace, because if you don't have a good team attitude, and you don't feel like comfortable at your workplace, uh, because you're spending 8 hours on a job, and if you and the people that you're working with don't have a good relationship, and you're not able to work as a team, is people, everybody, looking down on one another, saying negative thing about one another, you tend to not have a good sense of how you would approach your work. You feel sort of despondent.
Right.
You don't feel comfortable getting on the workplace because you feel pressured. You might feel some sense of rejection, and it don't make the work environment very a happy one.
Right.
So it's not doing anything for you in terms of your mood and your well-being,
Right.
your mental health,
Right.
and so you don't look forward to go to work.
Right,
So I
right,
think
right.
if the work environment is not good, the work ethics may drop. People, their commitment to their work, if they're feeling frustrated that you might have a certain thing that you want to get done, but because of how the others on the workplace approach, it make it hard for you.
Right.
So you feel like you're not productive.
Right.
And if you're the kind of person that's a go-getter and like to get things done, and like to see things accomplished, it becomes very hard, and you may want to leave.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So teamwork is very important on the workplace. That
Right.
we look out for one another. We have a common goal. Some workplaces have a mission statement, a vision statement,
Right.
which kind of give the workers a sense of a common goal to
Right.
achieving
Yes,
something.
yes.
And it's very important that you have teamwork at the workplace.
Yes.
After a while, because you're spending so much time in a day, and if your profession is years, so that comes like a family
Right.
out of your home.
Yes.
So if you're not happy there, you're just waiting for retirement.
Right. And I know a lot of people. I know of a couple of persons who, to them the job is a place where I don't want to be, because it's burdensome. It's the people there, the attitudes, the way people might relate to you or to your family members, and as you said, at the workplace, I believe, and that's my personal opinion, I believe that we should be somewhat like a family.
Yeah, it
All
has
right?
to be.
That it's kind of like your family away from your family. We should be able to, be understanding towards each other. We should be caring, looking out for each other. Somebody's birthday coming up, you could, give them a little surprise.
Yeah.
You celebrate with your workers. Somebody had got a degree, you can celebrate and say, well, congratulations. You feel happy for them because it's something that they achieve. You feel their family. It's like
And even somebody's sick too, like in the workplace.
Right.
It'd be nice when the co-workers looking out for you.
Right.
You're sick, and just leave it there, and as though nobody.
Right. You have to
that
be
would
caring.
affect you. Yeah, that
we
would
have
affect
to be caring.
because really and truly, your waking time is at work. Most of your week.
Right.
Your
You
waking
spend a lot
when
of
you're up,
time.
because by the time you get home is just to get something to eat, and before you know it is
Right.
night and you're sleeping.
Right.
So the people you spend most of your time with, you can say, is the people at work.
Right.
A lot of your waking time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So
Your time when you're up, yeah.
So we have to be, as individuals, we have to remember that, people we need to reach out to each other. So it's not just about me, myself, and I. It's not just about, I go and I get my job done and I go home. If we are working in that kind of way, it means that it's really not, your job will become burdensome. All right, it will become a place where and if that's how it is, then maybe you need to look for a new job. If it's a place that you go in and it's like the whole day, it's like, oh gosh, I can't wait to. I mean, yes, home should be a place you want to go by all means, but if it's every day you have to go to work, it's like, oh my gosh, do I have to go? And then for sure that if that's the way you feel, then it means that maybe you need to get a new job.
Yeah.
All right, because you're not motivated. It's like it means that the people you possibly don't feel like the people surrounding you are looking out for you. You don't feel that caring attitude, that love, and that. Because really and truly, I really believe that your workplace should be like a family away from your family.
Yeah.
Right? As you say, somebody is sick, you look out for them, you go look for them, even if it's not them individually, but if they're children, you might have a child that is sick, you might have a husband or wife that is sick, you look out for each other, you pray for each other, and you be kind to each other. All right? So you look out for each other every single day. That's what it should be like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Make the work environment good. So when you retire, if you feel sad to go.
Yes.
You're not glad to go.
That is what it should be like.
Yeah, you can't wait to leave because it's just such negative vibes and the work thing. You have to.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. But we have a comment here from, two comments actually. From one of our listeners. All right, the first one is based on what we were talking about before. She says, I think distractions can distort good work ethics, especially when working at home. For example, taking care of family duties on company time. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so that's true. So you get distracted. You figure, okay, I have the dishes there to wash, I have some clothes to get to iron, and right. So it can. Yes,
it can be a distraction.
Yes, it can definitely.
But you have to have a lot of discipline when you're doing this remote work.
Yes.
Working.
So as you said, if your work day is from 8 to 4, that time you should say, okay, from 8 to 4, this is what I will be doing. All right, this is my job. I get my job done and get it done properly. All right. Another comment is that I have learned work is not a place to make friends. The most vindictive of plots occurs among workplace environment. True as well.
Yeah.
True as well.
But that is just so sad.
Yes, it's sad, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen, it's. It's a sad thing because, as I said before, it should really be, kind of like a home, a family away from your own family. All right. But that is a true statement. Very true. People you might think are your friends and you might be embracing day by day, or possibly the persons who are there with a dagger waiting to stab in your back. That's true. And that again, that is another thing, all right, that can really distort the work ethics because that people are not looking out for you. You don't feel appreciated. Sometimes you're trying your best to do your job and to go beyond, the call of duty. You're going beyond above what you're supposed to do, and you just feel that in that environment, you just feel the persons that are there trying to bring you down or waiting for the little mistake that you make to run to the boss and say, look what she did, look what they did, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I find we should look out for each other, and that take the supervisor and the kind of person they are as to how much of a team builder they are,
right, and
how much they will encourage a good attitude on the workplace.
Right.
I think the supervisor and their attributes, how their approach to work, to their work, and to their team, would encourage that form of unity on the workplace. Yeah.
Yes, because a good supervisor is somebody who would motivate, somebody who would be a team builder, somebody who would, more or less bring the team together and encourage that family, that bond, that kind of relationship that people would want to be a part of that team, because you feel like if, the supervisor should be the one, also being like what you would say, the person that would cheer you on. You're doing a good job, give you a little pat on the back. It's okay to say
Encouragement,
yes,
yes. So say,
you did a
you're
good
doing
job.
well, yeah.
Let's have a little okay, I buy ice. Well, I'm just, for lack of a good example. Okay, ice cream on me today. Everybody's getting ice
Yes.
cream. Y'all did a good job. Or you know that everybody worked maybe on a project. They did a lot of hard work, and you decide, okay, we're gonna have a little hour today where everybody gets a little treat or something, or they decide, just the small things. You go around and you possibly put a little chocolate on everybody's desk or make somebody smile. All right. So even if it's just a thought, you maybe write a little note to say thank you on
Yes, yes.
different person's desk, and people feel
Or
appreciated.
just say happy birthday when their birthday comes
That's
around.
right,
Yes,
that's right.
Some little something for them.
That's
Yeah.
right. People feel appreciated when you show appreciation. People feel more motivated to get the job done. When you're always down on people's backs, and the attitude, again, going back to the attitude of the employer, attitude of the employees, goes both ways. Because if you have an employer who is constantly with a bad attitude, and even if you think that you did your best, and they always having some negative thing to say about what you do, then sometimes the attitude, one person give an attitude, the other person give it back. So sometimes people are feeding on other people's attitudes, and then the whole work environment is affected as a result. All right. So that's why I was saying before, sometimes we act based on what we receive or what we see. So sometimes we don't necessarily have to wait or to act or to react, I should say, to other people's attitudes and the way they treat us. So let's remember that scripture again from Colossians chapter 3. Whatever you do, do it as unto God. Remember, He is the rewarder. He is the one who puts up, and He's the one who pulls down. He's the one who is going to, when it's time for your promotion, whether or not the supervisor is giving you good, what you call that, appraisals or not, whether or not your supervisor is recognizing that you are going beyond, whether or not your supervisor wants you to get that position. God is the one. God is the one
who sets up and the one
He
who puts
is,
down.
He is the one.
And I think too that the supervisor should pay close attention when people have needs on their job to get the work done.
Right.
You might be out of stuff. Procurement and maintenance and all
Right.
those things can affect how people perform on the
Right.
job, the whole work environment,
Right.
safety on the work environment.
Right.
All of that is very important too.
Right. And sometimes, not sometimes, but I think supervisors need to be very observant, right? Because it might be that somebody's productivity is dropping. Yes, it might be because of their negligence, but it could be because of something else. So it could be possibly the person is going through a
they
tough
have a
time. They have a sick
situation at home.
Yeah, they have a situation at home that is affecting them. And I'm not saying that, yes, that your employer necessarily needs to get all up in your business. But if it is something that's affecting productivity, you need to pay a little closer attention. Sometimes, just a little word of encouragement. You might just find out, is everything okay? Just to you might be able to help out that person in some way. And then again, it goes back to the whole relationship of the people on the job. Because if you as an employer, you don't have a good relationship with your employees, and you just come out of the blue and ask me how you're doing, I go, fine, okay. Who asking me that for? Because we don't have that relationship, so that is why it's a good thing to maintain, that good relationship, because all in all, it's going to affect your business. It's going to either increase the productivity or bring it down. Your the way you care for, the way you show interest in your employees, it's either going to increase productivity or not. So if you're the kind of boss that, dump people throat, people might tend to, okay, well, I think I'm just going to do the little that I have to do, and I ain't going beyond that. If I have to do ABC, I just do ABC. Even if I know I could do HIJKLMNOP, I'm not doing it.
Overtime, sometimes you give overtime and you don't even look back for anything for the
Right.
overtime. Because if there's a good relationship on the workplace, but in that
Right.
case, you give an hour more, you want to pay for your hour
Yes,
more.
yes. Yes. So
Yes.
sometimes, we really have to learn to, be caring, compassionate, looking out for each other. We need to be that team, that family. Think of, your own family at home. You have that family kind of relationship. All right, in the workplace, care for each other, look out for each other. All right, somebody may not, you see somebody for a couple of days. It's like, okay, you call and find out, is everything okay? I didn't see you for a couple of days. Are you well? All right, and if we maintain that kind of relationship, then we can look out for each other. And
Communication is very important.
very important.
Because sometimes the supervisor might know somebody is all because they are on a sick leave,
right.
but the rest of the team may not know. So it's
That's
always important
right.
to inform the rest of the team. that this
Right, because
person is
somebody
not
might
well.
need to pick up the
And
slack.
then, somebody have to pick up
Yeah.
after the slack.
Right. So communication is definitely key. We need to let people know. There are times when some people might want
They
whatever
might
it
want to
is
keep
to
it
be
private,
private.
yeah.
But
And
at
in that
least
case, you're limited to because somehow
Right.
somebody else will have to, because they might have to do the work.
right.
That
So
person
communicate
does,
to the necessary persons, even if you don't disclose
what is the problem?
right.
Yeah,
So
but you have to let
at
them know they
least
will not be on the job.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And in all of this, I will say also, well, we spoke about, attitude and communication and teamwork and productivity and all of these things, because all of these are ways in which we demonstrate good work ethics. All right. I will also throw in there having, good character and things like respect. All right, so despise, and we always hear about this word RESPECT. We always hear about this word respect. And, you always hear people say, despite you don't like somebody, and it is a true thing. Even if you don't, what can I say? You don't like somebody's attitude, right? They rub you maybe the wrong way, or the way they act. It's not to your liking. It doesn't mean that you cannot respect them. All right. And when I say respect here, I mean, they do certain things. All right. But that's your boss, and you're supposed to report to them. You're supposed to say XYZ to them. You're supposed to do this report and hand it in to them. It doesn't mean because you don't like XYZ, it means that you have to disrespect them, whether it be verbally, whether it be through your attitude, your body language.
There's somewhere in the scripture that say, you don't have to just be respectful to the boss that is kind, but also the one that is,
Yeah,
I
boy,
think
that
it's
hard.
Peter, but the one that is really hard to work with.
Yeah.
That will really prove the strength of your
Oh,
character,
gosh,
because
it's hard.
the one that is hard to work with, you have to try, even try a little bit harder.
It's not easy. I guess that is where
Your
the
true
Christian
character will come out.
Yeah, because it's easy to be respectful to somebody who is respecting you. Yeah, that's easy. You're respectful to me, I respect you back. But to that person who is disrespectful, True Christian character had to come in there. Christ had to, we
Yeah.
put a lot of
What
things
would
in
Jesus do?
subjection.
You have to always ask yourself that. What would Jesus do?
Lord, it's easy, as people say, easier said than done, yes?
Yes.
Because it's, oh gosh. And disrespect can go, can be shown in a lot of ways. It can be mild in that, people just kind of ignoring you in that kind of way, but it can be outright. Somebody cuss you to your face, somebody tell you something, somebody do something outright, and it's obvious, it's, in the company of everybody else. Disrespect can be subtle, or it can be, so having to respect somebody after, especially after you experience outright disrespect, it's difficult. All right.
That's where you see the maturity comes out.
Yes.
I'm going to get in a big squabble on the job and end up in all sort of courts.
But in all of this, I want to ask this question. Your work ethics and your job, all right? In doing all of this, whether or not you are demonstrating good work ethics or bad work ethics, how does this affect your family and your family life? How does this affect them? Whether you are respecting your boss or disrespecting your boss, whether you're being productive or counterproductive, whether you are having a good attitude or a bad attitude, how does this affect your family or your family life?
Well, I mean, your children are looking on.
Oh, yes. And sometimes they're silent lookers. They ain't saying nothing, but they're watching and they're saying, oh, that is how mommy does treat boss. That is how mommy does react to the customer, or that is how mommy does treat the customer when the customer saying something. They ain't saying nothing, but they're watching it and they're taking note.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a bad thing if you are demonstrating these bad attitudes and demonstrating all these bad work ethics that your children are soaking in, and they're actually learning that. So at some point you see them disrespecting the teacher, or you see them communicating in this kind of way with their body language, and you wonder, well, where he get that from? From you. God help us.
The first teacher, they're watching everything
Lord
you
help
do.
us. Lord help us.
Yeah.
You're wondering where they picked that up from, but if you really think about it, you're the one that really taught them that. All right. Yes, it can be they get it from somewhere else, but
So that is
sometimes
something you can pass on to your
Yeah.
children, good or bad work ethics.
yes.
Because, I mean, sooner or later, I mean, you're preparing them for the workplace.
That's
they have
right.
That education.
And they might, Lord, imagine your child take those bad attitudes, and when they get the job, they're gonna do the same thing like you.
Yeah.
Their boss might not be the same as your boss. The minute they give some disrespect to their boss, they might get fired. It might affect a lot of other jobs
it
that
would
they
affect
have.
them getting another job.
Yeah.
Because when you're looking for a recommendation
Right.
for another job and they need something from the last workplace, what would they be saying about you?
Yes. So we have to be careful, and the Bible speaks about what you sow, you reap. All right. So you're on the job, and you're demonstrating this bad attitude to the customers coming. You're talking about you're treating your coworkers in this way. You're being counterproductive. You're doing less than what you're supposed to be doing, and you're wondering why this is happening in your life, that is happening. But what you sow, you reap. So you might not understand that what you did would affect you in another way, or in some way down the line. The world has called this thing karma, but the word of God speaks about this as what you sow, you reap.
Reciprocity.
Yeah. It coming right back at you. Yeah, because that is what you sow. It would come right back at you. So we have to be careful. Your children are silent observers. They're observing what you're doing. They're soaking it in, and they would practice what you teach them. All right. Also, we have to be careful because, depending on the way in which we, some people can be productive, but some people can go beyond and beyond. And if you are doing a little too much, I mean, yes, it's okay to do a little more. But if you are the kind of mother, the father, the aunt, the uncle that you're doing so much extra, so much that you're reaching home 2 hours late, and you know if it is that your job is very stressful, all right, it can affect your family as well. You know, because you first of all, you're probably spending too much time on the job, and your husband, your wife, your children, your niece, your nephew not getting as much time as they should with you. All right. Or it could be that the job's so stressful that when you reach home, all you want to do is sleep. All you want to do is, you know, or you end up,
tired,
you're
yeah.
tired, or it's affecting your health.
And not only that, now we find that people are doing 2 jobs.
Right.
It's like a norm now because of the telecommunication, you can do a job
Right.
outside and you could do one from at home.
Right.
You know, and you could pace your hours, and that will be, you know, taking a lot from you.
Yes. So
So is another, you have to really be disciplined
there must be balance.
and to get a balance.
Balance. Remember,
Yeah.
wasn't last week, but the week before, we spoke about ministry and balancing ministry
Yeah.
and family. It's you know, similarly with your work, you know, and your family, we have to balance. All right, don't give too much time to your work. I'm not saying to shortchange your employer, but you know, at the same time, your family can be suffering because you know, all when you reach home, you know, you had to be there on the computer sending email up to 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock in the night. Your children no getting a little 5 minutes with you. You know, it shouldn't be 5 minutes at all. It should be more than 5 minutes. You know, but we have to be careful. Let's balance it. Yes, you want to be productive. Yes, you want to do a good job. Yes, you might love your job. You might love what you do, and you know, you're excited about what you do, and you want to get things done. But let's be careful. We don't want our job to take over all our time, and our family gets none.
And I tell you what, you know, with what's going on now, we find retirement age is on the increase. People working for are being retired older. Now, as you see the new approach, they're looking at 65
Right.
as retirement age. So you've been at that workplace for quite a long time.
Right.
And that could affect you, and that could affect your family as well.
Right. You know, there's a comment here from one of our listeners, and this, you know, made me think. All right, it makes me think, and I like this comment. It says, as a woman, if you don't respect your husband, you can't respect your boss. How can you respect people in position? It's a big, how you respect people in position is a big indicator of how you carry yourself at home. All right. That is an interesting comment right there. You're disrespecting your husband. All right. As a wife, your husband is like the authority in your home. All right. So if you're disrespecting your husband, how it is you're going and respect your boss? I really on it, especially if your boss is another man too. All right, not even if it's just a man, but I could see, you know, you don't learn to respect those in authority. You don't learn to respect your husband. I could see that disrespect there to the people in authority.
Yeah, it can be like a loose cannon.
Right. So I could so family and the workplace, I can see that, yes. So let's learn to respect
as I
those in
said,
authority.
charity begins at home.
Right.
So while you practice at home, you might, when you get comfortable out there,
Right.
you do the same thing.
Right. Very interesting comment there. Yes. All right. So I have one last question I want to ask. All right. I don't know if you have other comments but there's a question I want to ask. Are there instances when your work ethic, all right, can clash with your own personal beliefs and values? Do you think there are instances where, you know, trying to have good work ethics, and I know we possibly talk about one or two, but it can clash. And when I say clash, really clash with your own personal beliefs and values. So trying to increase productivity, or trying to, and I have a little comment there that so for example, you might have, businesses have to be audited and all of these things. You have your accounting doing, but in order to make it look like you didn't make as much, or in order to increase profits or something, so you might have to change a figure here or there, and that kind of.
Well, yeah, there is
right?
a temptation there. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Or your boss might say, "Don't put that figure there. Put a lower figure, just to,
No, the boss.
Mm-hmm.
The boss have to have a really valid and legal reason to say that.
Right.
You can't just change things if that is the fact that is there. You have to be truthful at all times.
So sometimes in order to make productivity look good on the books, or to make it look like you didn't make as much profit, so that possibly people might get a little bit more under the table or whatever, in order to.
Well, they can't take part in that.
Right.
You should not let it clash, because I don't think it is your work ethics there is just your values and
right.
your morals and your belief. You know what is right from wrong.
Right.
So if the boss, the person over you, trying to tell you something wrong, you have to start to do something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and you know it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stand up and say, well, no, and I have valid reason why this is not the right way to go.
Yes, because sometimes it could be, that whatever the boss is doing that is not truthful, that is, against what your principles are, what the Bible says. Mm-hmm. It might be to motivate workers, because it might be that everybody might get a little extra 50 on their pay because they change up a little figures on the books, but, so in other words, he motivating the workers there, so it might seem like good work ethics, increasing productivity, because everybody know we get a little extra,
wrong figures.
But it's not right, and we stand by the principles of Christ. If you're a Christian, it should not be something that you get yourself involved in, whether or not you're getting a little something on the side or not.
I can give you an example. I mean, it would not give me extra of my pay, but I don't have my boss don't be over. I don't have to report to a boss. I go report to work, and I work by with an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times you have to provide statistics.
Right.
You can give in a wrong statistics.
Right.
Because it would not be helpful.
That's right.
You have to just present it as it comes.
That's right.
And so in that way, you don't have to have somebody over you to give correct information to do what is right.
That's right. That's right. And I think as individuals, we have to be, especially when that nobody's looking, or nobody would, in your mind, nobody would find out. And that's how a lot of thieves get caught later down the road, because, a little 1 cent there, a little 1 cent there, it's just a little 1 cent. But 1 cent does add up. 1 cent does add up.
Because when you check it and you go to the books and you try to balance it, you see, things in adding up. And so it will just reflect so poorly on you, the boss. Mm-hmm. Because that's who's going to be the one they're going to look back at. So integrity, that's right. Integrity. What do you do when others are not looking?
Right. Well, here's a example from one of our listeners. She's saying, yes, there can be a clash. From personal experience, she said, I gave a client who was homeless and hungry some food. I was reprimanded by HR and almost terminated. I acted upon what the Bible said about feeding the poor. So, sometimes, out of the good of your heart, that is your standard. You believe in the Bible, and as she said, she fed the homeless person.
But there's not against the work ethic, the principle and
so it can definitely be a clash sometimes.
There are labor laws and rules, and they are, when you're newly employed, they give you things to guide you by that you shouldn't do on the workplace, like
Right.
certain things like accepting gifts,
Right.
and so from is actually you're not supposed to.
But it's so sad, because something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I think as an employer, even if, you feed the poor, something like that, I wouldn't reprimand somebody. Sometimes we
And
have to kind of overlook as employers, and so sometimes you could just
but
overlook
you
somebody,
don't know how that
you
could affect the
know.
company. So if you have an interest in feeding the poor, I think you should let it be known by your supervisor. Like, let us do something like that. Have a food bank. So we not just you as an individual.
Right, right,
Let us as a team, and that is where teamwork come in. Let us be able to have a food bank there, so whenever somebody needs some extra clothes or food or
right,
whatever,
okay.
we can give them that. So
Okay,
everybody
okay. All
knows.
right, so that can be a
It's
good
over
way.
a good way of helping
Right.
out.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's out of the good of your heart. It's something good, but it's just, against company standard. It's against what the ethics are, or the norm is for that business. And it's, it's like, wow, it makes you wonder, why can't I do this? Why can't I mean, it's something good, but
And you may do something good for somebody, and they bring some fruits, they bring stuff for you, and
right.
you're really not supposed to
Right,
accept
right,
it.
right. So
Yeah.
a lot can
Yeah.
we can think about a lot of things there that can be clashes on both sides. Both
Yeah.
for it can be a lot, but you know what? Maybe sometimes um with a little thinking and a little creativity, we can still come up with something good. Because, as you said, maybe if, well, I don't know if the employer of that individual that shared that experience would have taken that suggestion, but maybe we can come up with, and I don't know if the fact was that that person needed food at that particular point, where the person really, they felt, with compassion, okay, that person, they need the food. I'm just going to go ahead, and because maybe it was an emergency. We don't know what really happened at that point, but we can become creative. So if it is that this is not what is acceptable here, we can come up with a creative way in which we can, help out things, all right, without, you know, um, without going against our own beliefs or so. All right. I'm not saying that we should become creative with lies,
Yeah.
but
No,
if
because
it's
sometimes
possible.
because of your,
Yeah.
if you're a compassionate person and you want to
Right.
give, and you're
Right.
this kind of giving person, it would
Right.
kind of restrict you from really being the kind of person you are,
Right.
you know. So that is a clash, and that could be kind of tough for somebody who really to just to turn away somebody in need when you
Right.
know you can help.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Right. You know. All right, guys. So, wow, where does the time go, eh?
Yeah.
It's a full hour already. I don't know if you had more points to share, sister.
No, I won't be able to share them, but it's more to deal with technology and the change in dynamics in the whole work ethics environment
Okay.
is what I really wanted to touch on today. And well, time does not permit, but as we said that, be diligent, have a good attitude
Right.
towards your work,
Yes.
be one who is a good team worker, team player,
Right.
and, just as the scripture says, whatever you do it unto the Lord.
Unto the Lord.
Hmm.
All right. So if it's one thing you have to remember, if there's one thing that we would like you to remember out of all of this, all right, whatever you're doing, and I'm going to read the scripture again. It's from Colossians chapter 3, and it's in verse 23. It says, "And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as unto the Lord and not unto men." All right, if you do it unto men, trust me, you won't do it heartily if it's unto men all the time. But if you think about it, I'm doing it unto the Lord, you will do it heartily unto the Lord. All right, guys. So as usual, it has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure being with you for this past hour, talking about work and family We're going to be back next week. Are we going to be back next week? Next week is Mother's
Next
Day,
week is
you know.
Mother's Day.
We're going to decide what we're doing.
Yes.
All right, we had to celebrate Mother's Day, and in advance to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. If we don't get to, well, more than likely we won't be here because, I mean, we're mothers and we want to celebrate too. All right, so happy Mother's Day in advance to all the mothers.
Comes.
Oh yes, guys.
God
So,
bless every one of you mothers out there.
all right. So, guys, blessings to all of you. Have a great afternoon. From Team Family, have a great afternoon. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you can't touch me. Lucifer, you can't touch me. Furthermore, take your filthy hands off me, family. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. Warfare time when you're under the blood. Them demons will shake and tremble. Satan is a whole dirty thief, so we mash up your plans with only one sprinkle. If you feel it